2 days into the cruise of their dreams, Nikki, Walsh, and Tanner Broadwell sunk their boat near Tampa Bay when the keel fell off and they lost everything they owned except each other and their little pug dog. They'll tell you the story right now. Subscribe to Slow Boat Sailing so you can see our round-the-world trip and learn how you too can go on the long-distance cruise of your dreams.
Tanner had brought up the idea to me because when you live on the water, it's free. You don't have to pay rent, and you get to travel for free. You know?
I can travel by wind power and see the whole world, and I want to travel. And in the situation I was in Summit County, it's expensive to live because it's a ski resort town. Everybody wants to be there. And I don't want to live in a crappy place, so I want to live in a fun, exciting area. So we decided we're going to go sail. I can get to and from all these places and figure out the money when I get there, but I can go places under the wind's power whenever it takes me. And there's no rush to get there as long as I got there.
But when he had told me that idea, like, there's no way I'm living on a sailboat. This is my comfy home, and no, there's no way. But then I started watching the YouTube videos, and
it's doable. People can make it happen.
And there's young couples like us that are doing it.
We saw a family of 4 that lives on the exact same boat we have.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, if they can do it, we can do it.
So what are your favorite YouTube channels?
I would say La Vagabond is the one that got me. I watched all their episodes just sitting in my bedroom in Colorado. And when the boat was going down, I was wearing the La Vagabond shirt Tanner had got me.
All right.
I really like SB Delos. And those 2 are my favorite. They're fun.
Cool.
And then there's a few other ones I watch.
I actually did not watch any YouTube channels, and I refused to watch any of them. I wanted to experience it on my own. I did not want to see someone do what I wanted to do, so I watched no videos.
Awesome. After many months in Tarpon Springs, Florida, where they fixed up their boat Lanniape, Nikki and Tanner started heading south towards Key West.
We sailed out earlier that day, and that was it.
No, we sailed the boat with...
We sailed other people's boats with them. We didn't sail our boat that much after we put it back in the water now.
We sailed it a few times, but not much.
Yeah, but I mean, you weren't going very far either, right?
No, so we were
just going down the coast.
We started our trip. We didn't leave until about 4 p.m. roughly, and we sailed out. We actually motored to where we were going. So we motored out of Anclote River and anchored on the east side of Three Rooker, which is just south of Anclote Key.
Yeah.
Because that was a good, safe anchorage. People recommended to us, so we're like, okay, we'll go there, we'll check it out. We stayed there overnight, everything went great. Then we went when we motored around that about 5 miles out, set our sails and cruised down to Clearwater, Dunedin, and then right around Clearwater and Dunedin, we started coming in. And as we got there at about 1:30, Clearwater, Dunedin. So we were aiming to get into John's Pass by dusk, but we didn't make it by dusk, and we didn't have anywhere to anchor. And so we decided we're going to try and get into safe anchorage and stay in there, but we didn't make it in because of whatever was in the water. It all happened within literally, like from the time that we called SeaTow to the time that we sank within 5 and 10 minutes.
Wow, that's amazing.
But when we sank, like we broke, whatever I hit blew us on. We rolled in with the waves onto the shoal, and it was only 3 or so feet deep. So we sank onto the shallow 3 feet deep, and that's how much water was in the boat. So the top half was exposed. It wasn't underwater. And we didn't have to jump off the boat, but some of the news articles stretch it a little bit and make it seem like it was worse. That's not the case. All I could do was point it into the surf and try to get it off. I tried backing out. It didn't happen. I tried to aim it into the waves, and by the time SeaTow came, the boat was like literally as underwater as it could be with the shallow amount of water there was. was.
So you have that.
And then as the tide came in, the next day we came in, we took the SeaTow back out to see if we could salvage any of our stuff. And the tide had come up, and our boat had rolled over to the side. And
That's where all the pictures are from.
We had no way to get
the next day it rolled over, but the first day it was upright, but it was just filled with water as deep as the water was. So it really sunk to the bottom.
Goes out about a half a mile, and that's about how far out we were. So it was crappy. What I was worried about was losing the boat. Not for a second did I think I was going to lose Nikki or the dog.
Yeah.
So by the time SeaTow arrived, and I'm up there trying to put the line on the bow to pull the boat off, she was sitting down. She grabbed some.
We have like a big folder of our important paperwork. I grabbed that, and all the while I'm holding the dog with his life jacket, my life jacket.
And the boat's still just like really moving a lot off the shallows. I didn't slam the boat. When it got picked up by the rollers, I didn't slam it down. And it was hard to get anything. She got my ID, some cash.
I grabbed
Remy, most importantly, a handful of clothes.
Yeah.
And every single thing was
And
lost.
the dog's food. We got the dog's food and his favorite toy, which is conveniently located. So he has everything he needed.
She didn't get all the dog. So we had a huge bag of dog food. We had tons of things prepared for a long trip. Enough provisions for roughly 3 months. And she grabbed the refillable dog food bag.
And where were you planning on going on your trip?
We were going to the Keys to restock with more money. We're gonna go get jobs down in the Keys, maybe keep going further south.
You're right near land.
Worst case scenario, I would have swam the both of them in.
Yeah.
Put them on the dinghy and rowed us back, but I was trying to salvage the boat. I didn't want to lose my house. That's what I was trying to do, was save the boat. And by the time that he got there and put the rope on and said that it's over the engine, we can't do anything about it.
Right.
He's like, hop on now. And we grabbed the few things we had said we grabbed.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys are okay. And the most important thing is that you have your health.
Absolutely.
That's all you really have.
Things flew around. She was getting hit in the head with stuff. It was hectic. But the main concern was losing the boat. Still going to. I don't care what happens. Getting another boat. I'm going to continue. People are offering us boats. Somebody's trying to give us one. Hopefully it'll work out and we can continue where we left off.
And the name of your boat is Lanniape?
Lanniape. It's a Creole thing.
Kind of like the 13th donut. The name was on the boat already. Thought it was kind of appropriate.
Okay.
Now I'm going to change the name of the next boat I get, no matter what. Changing the name.
But it's cool because we were our dinghy was coming from behind us. So the dinghy made it. So we still have the dinghy. So we're still technically boat owners.
Well, that's awesome. We did. Me and my wife saw your dinghy. It looks like a Walker Bay 8 to us.
It is. I'm glad we got
It
that.
survived a shipwreck.
We love our Walker Bay 8. I used it all this summer in French Polynesia. It's a wonderful rowing dinghy. So.
Absolutely.
And you bought the boat in Alabama, is that right?
Yeah, Mobile Bay, Fairhope, Alabama. And Nikki was not here yet on that trip. My dad and I went up there and got the boat. I had just sold the car. We had already sold the majority of the rest of our things. And I rented a car and drove to where the boat was. Fortunately, it was in great shape. There was a spring in the marina, so there was no crap growing on the bottom of my boat. It was in great shape. And he and I, well, the owner of the boat that sold it to us dropped him off, or dropped our rental car off and brought him back. And the next morning we set sail in Mobile Bay in roughly 20 knot winds, and it worked great. We sailed all the way out of there, and we went down into the intracoastal from there to Destin. And
That's where I met up with them.
Yeah, and then Nikki came and met up with us in Destin, and we sailed from Destin outside into the Gulf to Panama City, because I don't think the intracoastal connects. And then from Panama City, the three of us and the dog, so the four of us, we went out about maybe 5 or 6 miles and then started going to maybe 40 miles, I don't remember, but we went out and we started heading towards Tampa Bay. Clearwater was where we were going, and we wound up at Tarpon Springs.
And but by the whole way they were doing it, Tanner's dad used to race Hobie cats, and he was teaching us how to sail.
He learned quite a few things, and they would win races all the time. And I'm like, you know what? Teach me how to sail the boat. If it's going to happen, I can do it. You know, if he can do it, I can do it. And I learned to sail, and sailing was not the hard part. When all this happened, it was under motor power and glassy, no wind, and I was moving at like 2.5 knots. So whatever happened was crap luck.
Yeah.
And I don't know, something underwater. I don't know what it was. I'd like to find out.
Yeah, the keel shouldn't have fell off like that. That was just, you know. But I think people do talk about the keel bolts going bad on old boats, so that's just always a risk. But you probably hit something nasty too. So you guys, when did you guys arrive in Tarpon Springs?
Roughly June.
June, okay.
After about a month, they let me trade work for... Can you see us still?
Yeah.
Oh, so after about a month, they let me trade work for staying there. So I learned a ton about boats. Everybody constantly helped us with everything to make sure everything went great for us. And we came out sometime before around July, maybe the beginning of July. We pulled the boat out, and then we ended up leaving for 2 months roughly. Boat was on the hard from early July to September. Well, no, longer than that. So September was when we came back. It was still on the hard, and we stayed there at the boat the whole time at the marina. And I worked the whole time trying to save up money.
And the kind of gear you had on the boat, you had a depth sounder.
Yes.
And we
had a compass. We had chart plotter, a Garmin chart plotter. We had Navionics on our cell phones. And we had paper charts that we bought at West Marine for the rest of the area down to Flamingo, from like Tarpon Springs to Flamingo.
Okay.
But everything else on the boat, pretty basic. So we didn't really know. We're not.
It was about sailing. It was all about sailing.
Yeah.
We wanted to be like sailing offshore.
You didn't have like a fridge or anything on the boat,
no
or
refrigerator. No, everything we ate. We had
a Coleman stove.
Tons of propane, beans, rice, cheap, very, very simple lifestyle. No extra anything.
And that's what we wanted. This is exactly what we wanted to.
Remy had everything he needed. She had everything. We had exactly what we needed to go for a good amount of time and not have to come in at all.
And Remy's your 2-year-old pug.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the dog.
We have him here. You want to see Remy?
Yeah, is Remy around?
Yes, he's playing with his favorite toys out there.
So you guys got in the water about 2 weeks ago. Oh, look, there's Remy. Oh, isn't he cute? Oh, well, I'll show you Avery, but he's sleeping. He's sleeping right now. Here we go.
Oh.
Toy poodle. Thank you for speaking to me, and I'm sorry you had this tough time, but I'm sure you guys are gonna go on to other great things.
I think so.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. I think that a lot of people have been really hard on both Nikki and Tanner, undeservedly. Obviously, they didn't have a ton of experience going in, but they weren't doing stuff that was too hard. They could have sailed only during the day, and I think that may have definitely helped their situation. And I always recommend that if you're going into an unfamiliar port, that you do that during the daytime. But in this case, I also think that the reason for the sinking was that the keel bolts were just old, and I think that's pretty understandable that the keel fell off on a nearly 50-year-old boat. It should not happen in the Gulf Coast. The Gulf Coast has very few hazards. in terms of it's usually sandy bottoms, and it has or muddy bottoms. So a grounding like that should not have sunk the boat, especially with their 6 horsepower engine. So one of the things that Tanner emphasized is that they were going about 2 knots when they went to a dead stop. That's still not a huge amount, and that should not take off your keel unless the keel bolts were compromised to begin with. And it's unfortunate that they lost their boat, but it was an old boat, and I think it's a learning experience. And it's I think in the future they'll probably be more careful about entering harbors at night, and I think that's a lesson that I know lots of skippers could follow that have sailed tens of thousands of miles. So I saw lots of skippers in French Polynesia that entered unfamiliar harbors at night, and most of them did not pay the price for that. Some, like the crew of the Tana Malaika, who were a Slow Boat Sailing podcast guests, did pay that price, but most did not. And I think most people have a pretty positive opinion of the family and the Tana Malaika, and I think most people in the end are going to have a pretty positive opinion about Nikki and Tanner, and I hope they keep on sailing, and I hope they get a new boat, and I hope that a lot of people help them out, and it sounds like a lot of people already have helped them out to get back on their feet. Subscribe to Slow Boat Sailing so you can see the round-the-world trip. This episode was brought to you by viewers like you and Mantis Anchors and the Sail Timer Wind Instrument. Support Slow Boat Sailing on patreon.com/slowboatsailing.